Man, sales is tough. I'm just not cut out to be a salesperson. Have you ever felt that way? Selling doesn't need to be so difficult. My name is Harry Spaight. I'm here to serve and to help you succeed. Join me as we discuss sales made easy. I am super excited, which again, I might say that more than once or twice with guests, but I'm always super excited. So today we have with us the world-renowned Tanya Pluckrose, and she is best known for creating rich results using your mindset. She works exclusively with entrepreneurs to help them with a quantum leap in growth of their businesses, income, and impact. So, Tanya, I cannot wait to have this discussion. Welcome to the show. What's going on?
Hey, Harry. Oh, it's going to be a juicy outing, as I say, because we're going to be delving in deep about the importance of course, creating the right mindset, whether you are having a sales conversation or whether you are trying to grow your business. I believe that so many people spend a fortune on strategy, right? As well as working endless hours, but they never, ever take the time to, of course, create the right mindset that supports them with everything.
Yeah, I love it. So, we're going to touch on that here a little bit about mindset. But first of all, I've got to ask, your accent is a little bit different from where I'm from. Can you just give us a little background about where you've been in the world so we get to know you a little bit, and then we're going to dive into this mindset thing?
Sure. So I actually was born and bred in South Africa, in Johannesburg.
Wow.
Yeah, I was. And then we moved to Hong Kong for 3.5 years when I was around about 10, and then we immigrated to Australia. So my background, really, I'd like to call myself an Aussie. Yeah, an Aussie, through and through an Aussie. I'm proud to be an Aussie. I'm going to be. Though my dad is English, and I do also have a British passport, but I love Australia. But right now I have moved to America, and I now live in Las Vegas. And I'm proud to say that I'm now a US citizen. I
congratulations.
love America. I love Americans. I love it's so innovative. There's so much abundance, and they're cutting edge in, of course, creating this new landscape all the time. I love Americans for the free enterprise and the fact you can create your own currency. And where does it begin? In the boardroom of your mind.
Oh, you're amazing. So let's take where are you from to the boardroom of your mind, all in a couple of sentences. So without further ado, but thank you for that background. I didn't know that you were born in South Africa and spent time in you said Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, 3.5 years. When it was a British colony.
Yeah.
Right. So those were the good old days. Oh, the expats. Yeah. Oh, they had a ball. An absolute ball.
So there's a few hundred stories in there, I'm sure. But today we want to talk about this topic that's near and dear to you. And it's getting nearer and dearer to me as well, which is mindset. So tell me, why is mindset so important?
Well, when you think about it, it is the tool that creates everything. When you think about it, infinite intelligence, source, God, it's constantly flowing through us and to us. And of course, we get to create our own reality with our thoughts. But most people are thinking the same thoughts over and over again, and often they're full of doom and gloom because we're reacting to the outside world constantly through our 5 senses, that we're not taking charge and we're not creating these wonderful images along with words to create a new reality. Often your current results are a reflection of your past and present thinking. But if you want to create a phenomenal, extraordinary future, you're going to have to go on that mental diet, and you're going to have to start to, well, control what you're thinking about. And I say dream big. And if you can stay there long enough with consistency, you will create a new reality on the outside.
Okay, so this is all great, and you know, the idea of being able to create your vision, but you're also saying create your own destiny, your own
Yep.
world, so to
Yep.
speak. So
Yep.
can you elaborate on that a little bit? What does that
Yeah.
really mean?
Well, what does that mean is that when we are born, we are programmed with certain ideas or habits, as I call, about life. It's a mental program, a paradigm. And we tend to live out our life according to the ideas that have been put inside of us genetically and environmentally. And one of these ideas is your income.
Hmm.
Most people think that if they do more effort, they will have a greater income. But alas, the subconscious mind holds an idea of how much you can earn. And this is really relevant for any salespeople out there, because if you constantly are not breaking your income ceiling, even though you're doing all the effort, it's because of the idea, the amount of money you have been programmed to earn. So for salespeople, they may do well, really well 1 month, but the next month fall behind, and they're perplexed, like, what the hell is going on? But over the year, you've been programmed only to earn 100,000, right? So 1 month it's good, 1 month it's not, up and down, up and down. But all you need to do is give yourself a mental raise. And when you give a mental raise, your sales, of course, will of course create that new reality, right? And so that's why I love having conversations of this nature with you, Harry, right now, because so many salespeople are struggling and they can't figure out why when they are lead generating, doing all of this. But this is what I mean about your mindset, creating the right mindset.
Yeah, I mean, so like I'm going to agree with you, and I'll explain why I'm agreeing. So back years ago, before I got into sales, I lived on the poverty line, right? And I did that because my wife and I were doing mission work. So we lived on, you know, it wasn't food stamps, but it was a little bit better than food stamps. If
Yeah.
anyone knows, there was no government cheese or peanut butter or food stamps, but we were just above that. So what happened after that when we decided that the mission life was going to be part of our past is that I took my communication skills and got a job in sales. Eventually someone felt sorry for me and hired me and said, we're going to give this ex-missionary a chance. Well, then I started earning, and the money that I was earning was more than I'd ever really imagined was possible. So then I earned more and then I earned more, but eventually I hit a point, and not that this is millions of dollars, but this is true with anybody, because I've been now in sales leadership for years and I've seen incomes stay the same, right? So people will reach a plateau and say, this is the number. This is where I'm comfortable with. It was crazy in the beginning, and then we settle, and then we say things like, that's what I'm used to earning, right? This is what I earn. What do you make on your W-2? And we're saying the same thing over year. It's always about this number, regardless if you're commissioned, complete commission only, or salary commission, or if you're an entrepreneur. Those numbers are extremely consistent after that first couple of years where you're learning the business. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, so
Yeah.
true, right? People have to understand that the program or the paradigm, the set of ideas, is within the subconscious mind. It's like a thermostat, and It's set at 72. You go to 78, but then it gets so good. You're spot on there, Harry. You go, oh, this is too good to be true. And then suddenly you're brought back to 72. Then you'll climb up again a little bit, and then you come back, right? Yeah. And the thing is, most people think it's outside circumstances, but we're dealing with the program inside the subconscious mind, right? And so I say, stop trying to change it with behavior. Get rid of the thermostat and replace it with another thermostat, which is a new operating system, a new idea of who you are, what you are worth, and what you are capable of. And most salespeople only, when you think about it, every year have a sales goal for the company, but I don't think it's big enough. And so if it's only 10 or 20%, and everyone in the culture, because the culture has its own paradigm, says, oh yeah, we'll go to 20% this year. Yeah, well, that seems a stretch. I'm saying go bigger than that and don't worry about the how. That's none of your business. The how will always show up once you have, of course, tapped into the feeling that it's done.
Yeah, so the thought there is interesting. I would say that part of the requirement is to actually believe, right? Because if you've come off of a decent year and you say, I'm going to grow by 10%, and you look back and you say, wow, I worked really hard to get to this number. Now I've got to grow it, or 20%. I mean, do I have to work 20% more? Or do I have to hire more people? And, so people are, so then what happens with the mind is then we start to doubt, right? So then that number, whether it be 5%, 10%, it's already negative. So what are our chances of hitting it anyway when we're negative, right? So virtually nil. I'm not sure where the word nil comes from, but I've heard it once or twice before, but I think it's pretty much like zero. So if we're at that point where the negative thinking is saying, this is going to be too hard, that's the old mindset, right? That's what the paradigm that we're trying to fight. Is that correct?
It is. But the thing what I find is the most important thing that many salespeople forget is that you have to create a new concept of yourself.
Yeah.
You can't just have the juicy sales goal. And you're right. If you are constantly in fear, doubt, and worry, there is, of course, you are living from the outside in. When I say if you could spend more time living from the inside out, it would happen. But I say have a goal that scares you and excites you at the same time. But don't forget to create a new version of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different image, a different version. If you're going to be earning $50,000 per month every month, then I highly recommend you start to write out some new ideas about yourself and how you're showing up on a daily basis, even down to the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you conduct sales meetings. You go and create, as I say, create him or her, and then you become him or her. And a lot of people fail to go within and change your current image to that of a new image earning this bracket. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So to help someone to get to that level, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of years ago in my pre-sales day where I couldn't imagine the numbers, right? But then when I was around people that were earning the numbers, then my mind opened up. So does that help? Like, so say if it's either a salesperson or an entrepreneur, of finding somebody that's in the same field that's earning twice as much doing the same thing that they're doing, or 3 times as much. Does any of that help in shaping who they might want to start being like, or talk to me on that?
Sure. Of course, the company we keep always can influence our income because we're constantly talking to each other through our thoughts. We don't think we are, but we are. So someone who is a higher income earner has a different way of thinking compared to someone who is part of the thought mass. Okay, so yes. But what I love also is you've got to be careful, because often people will see someone more successful and they actually don't celebrate them. They look at them, they feel less than, and then of course your fear, doubt, and worry go against you. So you have to have the right perspective when you are seeing someone more successful than you. And you know, the only difference is their self-image, how they think and feel about themselves. It's just different to what you currently think and feel about yourself. So what I love to do with my clients is go and pick someone you admire and really watch them. See how they walk, how they talk, and start to take those beautiful things that resonate with you and then start to affirm those ideas into you, because if you can spot it, you've got it. Consciously, you've got it, but we've got to put it inside the subconscious mind, because you can't outdo your current self-image. You can't. You can only replace it with a new image about yourself, who you are, what you are worth, and what you are capable of. And you do this with, you know, auto suggestion as well as imagination. And action. You must take action as well.
Yeah. Well, I love it. You know, let's see. So I was chatting with someone recently about the law of attraction, and where maybe some people miss out on this law of attraction is they imagine it, but then they don't do anything, right? You said, the last thing you said is really the key thing, is that you have to act on it. Right? I mean, so like this idea of the whole personality, it reminds me of the book from Carol Dweck on growth mindset. So someone listening could say, oh, that sounds great, but that's not me. I just, you know, I'm just not like that. I am who I am. I'm kind of stuck in my ways. Well, you know, what's your advice to someone that says that? I mean, how do you help someone like that? Or do you? Or do you just say, you know what, you need to kind of rethink what you just said?
Well, open-mindedness, right, is the key to your success. I believe the people that make it big time are the ones that are coachable, the ones that are open to new ideas and really have the humility, Harry, to say, I'm stuck and I need some support to not only see it differently, but to do it differently. So humility is the backbone, of course, to it all.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was thinking of is that often people give up before they start. And the reason why they give up is because they have incurred failure after failure after failure. And eventually this chips away at their self-image. It literally chips away, that they just give up on themselves. They lose faith and confidence in themselves. So an important point I must make, Harry, is that we know we've got to close the knowing doing gap. We know we need to take action. But most people are so busy taking the action, but they haven't built themselves up first. And I say, go and create your new self-concept first. Tell yourself some really good stuff about yourself, even though you don't believe it in the beginning. Tell yourself these things first. I say spend a minimum of 4 weeks, at least, building yourself up. Then start to take the action, and the action is so much easier.
Yeah, I agree. The idea of building yourself up, a whole bunch of thoughts are going through my head there, but it's like the first one that comes to mind, and I might have seen this on one of your videos, is because you have an airline stewardess background, right? Is when the oxygen masks drop down, before you can help anyone else, you have to put it on yourself first, right? And then you take care of somebody. And so in a similar mindset, you have to before you could go out and really make an impact, you've got to make sure you got the mask on, right? That you're, that you're breathing well and, are believing. And, it doesn't happen overnight. I also agree with that. But, the negative thinking can come from anywhere. So suppose someone's on this trek of trying to be better, trying to change their thinking.
Yeah.
And we have to agree, I think, that our family history, if we could look back, we could probably see similar lifestyles, right? Maybe we improved incrementally, maybe a little bit, but for many of us, I mean, if we're blue collar, we stay blue collar, right? Our families have passed this on to us. The generations have passed this on to us. And then maybe some are white collar, but then still, the income pretty much stays consistent generation over generation with a little bit of improvement. Now, to make this quantum leap is different, because now you have to break free from those traditions that have been passed on throughout the generations. And then we're taught by our parents at a young age, restricting things, right? Even though, we can be completely open-minded, we think, but then we're going to hear things and catch ourselves saying things. And I still do this. I don't know if you do, but I'll periodically say things that I'm like, where the heck did that come from?
Yeah.
That was self-limiting, right? So I guess my question in there, Tanya, is what do people do when the negativity hits them and they're in this path and the negativity hits them? What do they do then?
Okay. So according to Wallace Wattles' book, in The Science of Getting Rich, he says, it's easy to think according to appearances, but to think truth, regardless of appearances, is the hardest work in the world initially. When you think truth is this new goal you've got, right? Including this new version of yourself. And initially, your paradigm or your program will put up a royal battle as you move towards your goal. It's a royal battle. And I even have clients, including myself, where you actually will get physical symptoms that you think you're getting really sick, you're really tired. One of my clients right now, he wakes up in total anxiety every morning as he's reprogramming his mind with this beautiful goal and this new income bracket. And he says, when does it end? I said, well, the purging starting now, the purging, but do not retreat. It's the space-time repetition with visualization, with mentorship, and of course, the study, understanding how the conscious and subconscious mind works. If you can stay the course, because you're constantly hitting the terror barrier called fear, as you change really your nervous system. When you think about it, our mind is made up of, in psychocybernetics, Maxwell Maltz says, our mind is made up of our brain and our nervous system. So we're actually, and I don't know the whole science behind it. I think Dr. Joe Dispenza might be the perfect teacher for this, but we're changing our nervous system. We're changing and acclimating it to another vibration. And I call it chemicalization is taking place. Everything's shifting and changing, right? And so what do? Well, this is the work. You go on that mental diet. And even yesterday, I was living too much from the outside, reacting to the outside world. And I realized, what do I need to do right now to get back to my center and get back to where I'm going, my goal? So I went for a walk to shift the focus from the competitive world to the creative world, the creative plane. But then you come back, you're refreshed, you're recharged, you are filling yourself up again with the end result that it's happened. And so that's the work, living from the end, it's done. I mean, let me tell you, and I'm going to go a bit God on everyone right now, but You know, God gave us all this desire inside of us. You don't think He doesn't have a divine plan of how it's going to happen? Your calling, that special calling, right, is for you. You only. You're the only one that can make it happen, right? You're the only one. God's got the right plan for you to make it happen, right? And your only responsibility is to be true to it happening. Just hold the vision, it's done, right? And think the great thoughts. From the end, it's done, and the how will present itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will show up. I promise you. Just stay the course. And so that's what I would say to everyone is the work is when you're disabled or, you know, you miss your footing's off guard, get back to the center. That may be affirmations. It may be a walk. It could be writing out your future script as if it's happening now. And then before you know it, you're back in this, of course, back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and you know, it's not a terrible thing when you drift, right? I mean, it's just a matter of, you know, I'm going to break it down. I'm a simple guy, and when you have these thoughts of negativity that creep back in, you know, taking a walk, just breaking out of the thought process, right? Doing something to get out of that type of thinking, and most of the times, I mean, that's really easy to do, right? I mean, it's just a matter of doing a little exercise. For some, it might be putting on some classical music, you know, and calling a coach, calling Coach Tanya, for instance, right? But all those things are help us to snap out of it, right? Yeah. So this idea of creating your own world, your own reality, it sounds mystical, right? So some of us who are more common, I'm not saying that's not common sense. It's not common for people to have that type of thinking. So it's really uncommon. What's common is not good, right? Common is self-limiting beliefs. That's very common, and we should agree that that's not good. I was talking to an individual the other day, and about goals and reaching potential and so forth. And, you know, if the person doesn't make a shift, they don't reach their potential. And the person realized that. And then, you know, eventually you have to look in the mirror and say, I've lived a life where I never even attempted to reach my full potential. And, you know, whether you're in sales or an entrepreneur, you're in the role because you have a vision, right? Right? And that vision, hopefully it has good motives and good things will happen. But here at the end, you know, someone like Tanya who has this, you know, this mindset, which is uncommon, is a mindset that we probably want to adopt, where we can look at our life, reflect, and say, no, I want something better, right? And, you know, what's put me in this position today may have been out of our control because to some degree, I'm not saying we don't have any excuses, but to some degree, we listen to our environment. We listen to our parents. We listen to our, you know, our negative friends or negative coworkers, and they said things like, that's not for you. You're living in a fantasy world. And then all that stuff we believe. And then reality is who we are, where we are, we're stuck. And you're telling us that can all change really in a relatively short period of time. Is that right?
Absolutely. Just come with an open mind and be open to a new way of living, right? And it's not woo-woo. I'm going to tell you, we're living in a very new economy right now. And there are many, many people out there during the pandemic created their own currency because they made a decision, no ordinary decision. They made a committed decision. I am going to take control of my life. I'm never going to be a puppet to outside circumstances. And really, the one thing that needs to really happen is the decision.
Exactly.
Look at this. I'm
Yep.
going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. Right? And you don't do it alone. That's what we say in Australia.
Right.
Give it a go, mate.
Yeah,
Just give it a
love
go.
it. Yeah. And
Right?
you have, what do you have to lose, right? So if the things that we're afraid of, right, when you write it down, and I encourage you, and you probably do the same thing, is write down the downside of giving it a go, right? What's the worst that could happen? And typically, someone will say, I might fail, right? And so do you want to hold back from reaching your potential in fear that you might fail? Like, who does that in any other aspect of their life, right? So, you know, we played sports, or we, you know, ask someone to dance or whatever. We do things, we apply for a job. We don't hold back and stay, you know, where we are and never do anything because of fear of failure. We do all kinds of things overcoming fear of failure. We drive cars. I mean, who doesn't drive a car today because there's concern about getting in an accident? Or we don't fly in a plane because the plane might crash, or we don't get on a train because one train crashed, you know, 4 years ago and a lot of people died. We get past all of those fears, right? So here's an opportunity, which is the most important opportunity, right? Our lives. And that's the one where we say, okay, I'm not going to do anything because I'm afraid.
Right.
It doesn't make sense, right?
Well, a lot of people can't see the plan initially, and they can't, like, we can go and buy a car because we see a car. We see other people driving. So we think, oh, I can learn to drive. But because we can't see the exact plan for our calling, we give up before we even start.
Yeah.
And I would love to make a suggestion to everyone that that you won't know what's around the corner until you start. And I'm going to let you know, God will always give you the next indicated step. He always shows up in the perfect timing, but you do need to start.
I totally agree. That's great stuff. Tanya Pluckrose, gems, dropping gems here for us today. So Tanya, this is an awesome conversation.
Awesome.
Where can people find you and get more of this tremendous insight of, you know, growing into a completely new and better world, better mindset? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn daily. I love being on there and just providing so much free content, right? Content-rich stuff to help people start to think differently, right? You don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way, and it begins in the boardroom of your mind. So go on me on LinkedIn. I'm just doing my website up right now. So LinkedIn's the best thing. Reach out. All my details are there. Happy to have a conversation with people and start to get them dreaming big. No, releasing the calling that's inside of them. That's what I love doing. So thank you, Harry, for having me on. Gee, what a treat it's been.
Awesome stuff. Well, Tanya, you're just a gem, and really appreciate the guidance, the wisdom, the insight, the energy, the stories, the power. It's just all amazing stuff. So you're incredible. So thanks for dropping in today and sharing some of your value with us. Great stuff. Well, man, sales is tough. I'm just not cut out to be a salesperson. Have you ever felt that way? Selling doesn't need to be so difficult. My name is Harry Spaight. I'm here to serve and to help you succeed. Join me as we discuss sales made easy.